Welcome to TechGig webinars. Social media is already an integral part of our lives, but how to use social media to fulfill various business objectives from market research to customer acquisition is something we need to learn. Thus, to explore the same, today's session details on customer acquisition through social media. We are delighted to have Mr. Pradeep Chopra, CEO at Digital Vidya, amongst us as an expert speaker today. Mr. Pradeep is among the pioneers in digital marketing in India. He has been part of the internet industry since 1999. He has personally trained and advised over 1,500 professionals, including CEOs across India, Singapore, and Malaysia, in helping them meet their business objectives using digital marketing. Thus, this session will continue for 45 minutes, and you can ask your questions by typing in the chat pane available. Thus, without further ado, I invite Mr. Pradeep to continue the session.
And okay, I think I was probably on mute. Let me repeat. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for being here in part of this webinar, and thanks to TechGig for inviting me second time to lead this webinar. So I think this webinar, I will take around 40-45 minutes going through my presentation, and we will have good enough time for the Q&A. Just again, a bit background. I started my first business way back in '99. And it's been around 12-13 years. And I have largely been in internet space, and last couple of years social media has been taking a lot of attention. So I'll be sharing a lot of it from our own experience, from our research across how other companies are successfully using social media in India and across the world. Let me start. So one way, last 12 years, I have seen different faces or waves in internet space, and in a way some of that hasn't changed when it comes to social media. Like if some of you were there in late '99, you could have, I'm sure you would have noticed that at that point of time there was a term which were more misused than used, and it was called hits. So everyone was running after hits, and that was the .com times. And today, we have an equivalent of that, but the way it has, the time has passed is it hasn't changed. Like earlier, you were a professional, you were expected to have an email, then you were a company, you were expected to have a blog, and today you are a brand, you have, no option but to create a Facebook page. So overall, I think social media can help you do almost anything and everything, but this is a fundamental part which I wanted to share, because I think if you get that, especially around Facebook, it will make your life much easier when it comes to you leveraging Facebook. So let me ask you this question, and before that, some of the statistics. In India, if you know, there are a number of brands who have crossed a couple of million fans. I think Tata Docomo is latest. It has probably crossed or about to cross 7 million fans. Then we have Dove, MTV, Kingfisher, another page for MTV. So I think it's just great for large brands to have a huge number of fans, and number of fans are necessary. However, if number of fans is the only currency for measuring performance, this is not a right metric. So why is that so? Let me ask you a question. Assuming, and that's where I would want you to interact as well right now. Assuming you are owner of an admin of a Facebook page, and you do a post. So you run a page and you do a post there. Assuming you have 1 million fans of that Facebook page, and all of them are online at that point of time. Say typically how people consume content on Facebook is, you don't go to a Facebook page, or you don't go to even your friend's page. The activities they do, your friends or the brands, comes to your news feed. And assuming you are a brand and you do a post and all of your fans at that point of time are online on Facebook, and you did that post with 1 million fans online. How many people, how many of those fans will get that post in their newsfeed? So if all of them are online. So can some of you answer that in the questions panel of the control panel? Assuming all of your fans are online and you do a post as an admin, what percentage, how many of them, should it be 100%? Would some of you want to write it? I'll take, okay, great. Sasidaran, thanks. So you said almost everyone. Annabelle, you said 100%. Great. So thanks for, starting, and Saurav, you said all of them. Cool. And I can see, I think everybody, Dhaval said, great. And there are more responses. Glad that we have started interacting to begin with. And I want to run this session like that. So, Megdeep, you said, who didn't block your Facebook news on their post? But assuming that no one has blocked and everyone is there, I think so. The consensus is everyone should get it right, and I can see some other answers as well. However, that's not true, because Facebook has something called EdgeRank algorithm. Like Google has PageRank algorithm, which determines the quality of a page based on the number of links and the quality of links it has from other pages. But essentially, Google uses PageRank to reward relevancy, and in case of Facebook, Facebook uses this EdgeRank to determine who and how many of your fans will have an opportunity to get your post in their newsfeed, even if they are online. And according to our research, on average, 16% of the fans get the post in their newsfeed. And this newsfeed algorithm has various parameters. And I think we don't need to, like Google PageRank is a very complex algorithm to understand. But what is important to understand is Facebook uses this algorithm to find out who of those fans are likely to be interested in your content. And how it decides that is based on various parameters. And one of the key parameters is and that is called engagement. So if your fans are engaging, and engagement could happen in different ways. It could be people coming to your page, people sharing the page, doing a post, writing a comment, liking a comment, posting a picture, message, and there could be more. And each of these actions carry different weight or different rank. So that is what determines how many or what percentage of your fans are going to get the feed or your post. Surprisingly, and still today, we've been doing series of workshops across India and Southeast Asia. Every time we see a large number of people, including brand managers who are running large communities, are unaware of that. And they've been questioning that, they have 100,000 fans, 500,000 fans, and why do they see so small a percentage of likes? So one thing is, not everyone is going to be online, but even if they are, there is a very small percentage of those numbers or those fans who will get your post. And that is determined by EdgeRank. So in order to improve your EdgeRank, the most important element is creating interesting and relevant content such that your fans engage ongoingly. And as more people engage, your post spreads to further fans. So there are various other parameters, but this is the key message on which I wanted to start this webinar. Because while everyone is running after a number of fans, and again I would say number of fans are necessary. Like her friend zaruri hota, I would say her fan zaruri hota. But if they are not engaging with you, whether you have them or not is not much different. Right? So with this, we will look into how social media has been helping brands acquire customers. And I've tried to put them in three categories or three ways how social media helps an organization acquire customers. The first is through influence. So it's not a direct acquisition, but social media influences your potential or prospects behavior or decision towards your product and service. Second is leads. So you generate leads which you need to convert it. And third, more like a direct sale or transaction. And these are not very, like a formula or 100% strict definitions, but I've categorized various case studies based on these three, examples. And this is how I will be now, taking you deeper into all of these parts. So one of the important things to understand, and which is very, inspiring as well, is according to this flip the funnel source, they say that 20% of the marketing budgets are typically spent on retention. And yet, in many cases, more than 75% of the revenues come from existing customers. And if you look at that, social media, ultimately the objective of social media is to engage with your users, customers, influencers, such that you can deepen the relationship with them or build a relationship with them, which ultimately helps you, have a lifetime value or increase the lifetime value of that. And more important, they are the ones who bring the next set of customers. So this, really talks about the importance of deepening the relationship with the existing set of users and customers, and social media is all about that. So I thought, this statistics would be very useful as setting the benchmark. So with this, we will look into various examples and learn from them. I don't know how many of you know about Hippo, but I do believe that at least a good percentage of you, especially if you are from India, you would know. So Hippo is, a company which sells wafers or chips. And Hippo has a, interesting one is their marketing strategy or their campaign is like, they say that people who are hungry or people who are, not full, not, filled in their stomach are typically angry, anxious, stressed, and thus not successful. And hippopotamus, having the, the biggest mouth, is never hungry. And if you eat hippo, you will never be hungry, thus you will be successful and satisfied and fulfilled. So that's their campaign on which the whole messaging is based upon. However, if you notice their Twitter profile, you would find the way the English is written. So let me read this, the description of their profile. Hippo make munchies to fight hunger, because world be better if no one hungry. Hippo say anything that not kill hippo will only make hippo better hunger fighter. So if you notice, you would see, there's the way the English is written is, more of a broken English. And this English is not just here. The way they exchange messages, even their product packaging has that. Interestingly, we were doing a workshop, social media workshop in Delhi, and we talked about Hippo as an example, and one of the participants tweeted, and Hippo responded, said that, we are angry with you. Katti, in Hindi, that's what we say. And they said, you have not invited us. And I responded back, said, we'll be glad to have you be part of our workshop to present your case study. Why don't you just write a mail so that we can contact? And this is the mail I got. Dear Pradeep, Hippo say, first of all, Hippo happy to know you like Hippo. But Hippo want to know if you also joining Hippo army to fight hunger. Hippo also happy that you sharing Hippo effort with more big people in social media. If you need more information or recipe, you can contact. We have given the name of the person. He Hippo friend and also very helpful. Hippo say waiting to heat from you. Okay, bye-bye now. Papa, Hippo needs this computer. Love Hippo. So, the way you have seen the way they've written is kind of, the way, that's the way they have the communication in their DNA. And what happens is when you talk to them on Twitter, you also start using that. And that has a much stronger recall. And how it influences is, what had happened to me was, after I had this exchange, I had gone to buy Lay's, and I saw Hippo packets were lying there. And that connected or recalled, that experience I had with them on Twitter and this mail. And I said, let me try Hippo. And I bought Hippo that day, and I liked it. Seems to be more healthier. And since then, I have moved to Hippo from Lay's. So if you look at that, that's one of the fundamental ways social media influences the decision of your prospect towards your product or service. As long as you can, engage with them in interesting and relevant conversations. And that's what brands are doing every time. Some of the brands are successful while others are not because their focus has been largely on numbers. But if you're doing a good job in engaging with them, you will see results. That's fun. And you know what they do is then some of the influencers, some of the people they send, you know, like this hamper, I also got it, where they give that like, you know, certified excellence in hunger fighter, certified hunger fighter. And typically, people who get this, I would say roughly, especially the ones who are on Twitter, I think at least 50% of the people, as sake of courtesy, capture the photograph and share it. And imagine the amount of buzz they create. And for them, you know, sending 10 packets of Hippo is nothing, you know, not even peanuts for them, but creates a huge influence. Then this is another example of a B2B company. You know, if you notice, you know, this page is managed by Dell. What's interesting is the name or the positioning of this community. It is social media for business powered by Dell. So what essentially Dell is doing here is they were targeting businesses and earlier small and medium businesses, and they said, instead of, you know, our fans, which are like small and medium businesses on this page, would not be interested in listening about, you know, our product and services every day. And when you're thinking of building a community, you need to think of a lifetime. So instead of sharing with them the information about our products and services, given their pain point is sales and marketing, and social media is one of the best opportunities, we would be better placed to share interesting tips, trends, case studies of social media. And Dell as a company has huge amount of experience in doing that. So Dell, that's what they share. And as these companies use those examples, case studies to grow, when they have a need for a laptop or a product or service which Dell has to offer, they would at least consider Dell. So that's another way you see social media helps influence decision of your prospects. This was another interesting example where technology is being used. This is a, you know, application by Titan called HTSE. HTSE is a watch which works on light. If you go to the Titan's page, you will see this Titan watches in the HTSE Wear a Watch application. And if you see this application, how it works is it also works on light. So this area will not be visible to you unless you put a torch in front of your webcam. If you don't have a webcam, you have to drag some of the light source. And this green battery starts appearing green, and this watch appears. Then you have an option to create a personalized picture, and then you share it. So what they are doing is, the experience of that this watch works on light, they are giving or sharing that experience with you. So that's a very interesting way, for a brand to have their customers experience, and that in a way influence for them, to make a decision if they are interested in this kind of innovative product. Another way social media helps influence is, there are two examples, one of our own. This is a site called 24 Hours Loop, which is into appearance. Typically on sites, we see testimonials which are written by, directly written, and we have a tendency to disbelieve. So instead of doing that, they said, how about posting real testimonials or true testimonials from real people? And what they did was they integrated the tweets onto the website. So what you can do is, if you have a Twitter account, you can favorite a tweet. So all the tweets which are talking positively about you, you favorite them. And you can take the RSS of, which is like a feed of the favorited tweets, and integrate on your website. And that real time, those tweets will come. If you favorite another, it will come. The same way we have integrated as well on our website. So if that is there, if someone lands on, then their tendency of trusting these testimonials is incredibly high. And how it helps is, so in this case, Twitter not only helps a brand on Twitter, but even more important, you are doing so much to get people on your website. You're doing SEO, you're doing SEM, you're doing email marketing, you're doing offline print and everything to get traffic on your website. Here, using this integration of Twitter, you not only got value from Twitter, but can significantly increase the conversion or the effectiveness of rest of your marketing campaigns. So that's another way social media can influence, not just on social media, but rest of your marketing campaigns as well. This is another personal example for us. I hope some of you know that LinkedIn some time back started offering or providing company page. Earlier it was company profile, there was nothing much to do, but they changed that to company page. And that's free, anyone can have it. On the company page, what you can do is you can list your products and services. And those products and services, you can get recommendations or testimonials from your satisfied customers. Before this company page, a testimonial could only come to an individual profile. And after this, you have this, and which would be limited to that individual that has moved on. There is no central place. Now you have a central place where you can have your satisfied customers share their feedback. And we have this page on our LinkedIn company page. And here we have around 55 recommendations. And today if someone asks us, how good, bad are your workshops? I don't have a better place than sharing this link. And that has significantly helped us improve conversions for people towards registering into our workshops. And interestingly, one of the things which had happened to us was we got lead for a series of corporate workshops. It was almost $40,000 worth assignment of doing series of workshops for hundreds of people for a large media group, and that had come through LinkedIn. So those are different ways LinkedIn has helped us acquire customers, and it is happening almost for every workshop. Then how a viral video can influence. I don't know how many of you know, but this is a very interesting viral video of a company called BlendTech, and he is the CEO. I cannot show you this video because of the bandwidth, but if you go to YouTube and search for Will It Blend, you would see this video where they are blending an iPhone. And imagine the number of views this video has received. Can you guess the number of views this video would have received on YouTube? It is blending an iPhone. How many views this one video would have received? Some of you may be going to YouTube and find out, but just a guess. Don't worry, your iPhone or your phone will not get blended. So we'll wait for a few seconds and let's see some answers to that. And my recommendation is keep guessing. Even if you are incorrect, you will have a better recall. And by the way, I will share with you the link to this presentation, and you will also have the recorded version of this webinar. You don't need to worry about the content of this presentation. Any guesses? And interestingly, they have blended number of products, and they have used the timings. So one of the reasons why this video is so popular is they blended something like iPhone or a phone, and they have blended an iPad, then iPod, and this video was more popular than even iPhone, and people searched for it. So why this video became so popular? One of the reasons was that it was unexpected. A phone will get blended. Then it's use the popularity of iPhone and then iPad. So we got 40,000, 1 million, 65,000. Great, thanks guys, thanks. So number of views, this is also an old number, is over 10 million. And they have a Will It Blend channel on YouTube which has close to 100 million views. And more important, they are growing 1,000%. And social media today, which carried one of their case studies, said that their growth is primarily due to Will It Blend's video series. So blending is okay. Saurabh, you asked blending. So they are in the company which have the blenders or blending machines. So here what they are doing is they are showcasing how powerful the blade or technology of their blenders are. So which is directly relevant to their brand, and they're growing 1,000%. So that's another way a YouTube video can influence. Let me move it forward. This is another interesting example of a small widget called Just Uno. What happens is at the end of, if you are an e-commerce company and towards the end of the check-in or the shopping cart, you can have this where you give 3 options for people. If they like it, like your page, if they do Google Plus or they tweet, they get additional 5% discount. So the moment they said like and they share, here the promo code will come, or even if they join your mailing. So this is at the final step where people decide to abandon or not, and industry average is around 60% of shopping cart abandonment rate. So what it does is it first significantly reduces a conversion or abandonment rate and increases the conversion, because at that point of time, one of the reasons why people go off is they have a doubt, is there any other place I can get more discount? And when you give this discount, you decide the discount you give, and there are more options you have. You are trying to bridge that gap. So this can, significantly influence. One is their own conversion. More important, when they are liking it, Google Plus tweeting it, they are the customers who towards the end, while buying the product, are influencing their friends and associates towards, your product. So great influence. But this is another example of technology I want to share, though that is not related to any way customer acquisition, but something which a significant amount of publishers and, more important, e-commerce players worldwide are using, but not in India. So we run this community called Not Just Score. It is around cricket. So typically you go to portals to get score about cricket. You follow the game. However, in our case, what we are up to doing is we have you, not just follow the game, so you have the score and everything, but most important, you have fun around the game, which typically you have either in stadium or in front of, TV when you are sitting with friends. And one of the key reasons why people get fun on this platform, Not Just Score, is because they have an opportunity to interact with other cricket lovers and with their friends. So they can share victories, they can do chit chat, people can react, people can like. Now, why I'm sharing this? So one of the fundamental challenge we had earlier was how to identify when two people are on our platform, how to identify if they are friends earlier or not. Unless they follow here on the platform someone else, we have no idea if the other person is their friend. So what we have is we have login through Facebook. Some of you might have already noticed or would know very well that there is an option for any website to give a login to their users through Facebook. So that's called FB Connect. So when people log in through Facebook to a site or a platform like this, the platform knows who you are and who your other friends are on the platform. So imagine an e-commerce site when you land to that and log in using Facebook, and that is that these friends of yours bought these products on these days. That can significantly help that e-commerce platform influence your decision, because it is able to personalize based on your friends' interest what they did, and that's what we are doing here. So if some of you are interested in cricket, I know it's a bad, unfortunately India has not got into finals, otherwise tomorrow would be a great day. But I invite you to, experiment, try it out, and Facebook Connectors, that's what you will observe. And that's what any of you, if you have a large traffic on your website, you may be an e-commerce player, you may be a pure publisher, you have an opportunity to influence the behavior or action of your visitors, because you are able to have the social graph of people while they are there on your platform. Now let's look into some example of ways social media helps do lead generation. So we were doing our workshop in Singapore, and this was an interesting example we saw. On their landing page, and now the landing page does not exist, they have this first page which says, if you like us, we will tell you a mystery code, and you get 20% discount using that mystery code. So once you like, it changes to this. Says, simply say the code words, get wild at night safari, and enjoy 20% off. So imagine you are standing in a queue and someone says, get wild at night safari, and that person gets a discount on the ticket counter. So how it helps, one is this becomes a starting point for lead generation. They are able to track how many of their fans are converting to buy the tickets. And it's a great incentive for people to like the page. So it's doing multiple things and nothing technical, just 2 images. So if you are a business which has offline presence and you want to see how you can integrate online and offline, this is a great way where the lead probably gets generated online and the fulfillment happens offline. This was another very interesting example what Titan did. they had this fantastic offer. They were giving 40% off to everybody, and they said, our fans get the additional 15%. And how it happens is what you have to do is you have to generate the code. So you click on generate code, you give your mobile telephone number, and you get a voucher as an SMS. And in this campaign, they were expecting X number of redemptions. And someone told me they got 50X redemptions of what they were expecting. And why it worked was, the integration of mobile, because they got voucher as an SMS. And while people were outside in the market, they were looking at buying a watch or any of the products, they thought, they have additional 15% as a fan, and that's in the mobile, so let us use it. So that's another way, Facebook helped generate the leads, which finally got fulfilled in a store. This is another way brands are, leveraging the influence of influencers. Like I got this message sometime back from Gillette. Would you like to receive a sample of our latest product, Gillette Fusion? Please direct message. Direct message is private message, your contacts. So typically, the biggest advantage of platforms like Twitter is you have access to anyone, and you can identify who the influencers are. And when you do that, you can have a huge opportunity to reach out to influencers. And typically, anyone who gets a product like this, as a courtesy again, would share it. So for Gillette, even sending to 1,000 people a product which is, 300 as a market price, for them, there will be a fraction of that cost, is nothing compared to the amount of buzz and influence they can generate. So that's an opportunity for large brands who are looking at reaching out to influencers and leveraging their influence to spread a word about their product or service. Similar to that, or the way Twitter works, and I think that's a great opportunity in India, there is a tool called Cloud. Cloud essentially measures the influence of someone primarily on Twitter, and you get a cloud score. Anyone who's on Twitter can get a cloud score, and that's a public cloud score for anyone. Now, Wafers, I think Glaze or someone did a campaign in US. They said anyone who has more than 60 cloud score, tweet it and with some hashtag, and we will give you that many packets of our chips free. Say someone having more than 60 cloud score typically has few thousand followers. For a company like that, sending even few hundred of packets would be peanuts compared to the buzz they can generate. So it helps generate significant amount of leads through that, people who are already on Twitter and have an influence. And I think you can do contests around cloud, and I have not seen that happening in India, and I truly believe that's an opportunity which exists. And similarly, for small and medium businesses, even technology-wise, cloud can be a great way to reach out, typically because technical people on Twitter have higher cloud score. They are, geeky, typically Twitter has a geeky crowd, and it's a great way to reach out to the influencers. Now, how does lead generation? Another way it happens is you can run pure ads. It could be a LinkedIn ad, it could be a Facebook ad. When someone clicks on an ad, you can have a landing page. Like in this case, we run this ad for our workshops. We are targeting people above certain age, only a particular location. When they click on that, they come to a landing page where they fill the form and lead generated. So we have complete end-to-end tracking of how much money we spent on Facebook ad, how many leads we generate, and how much conversion happened out of that. Similarly, LinkedIn can play a role. So that way, it's a pure lead generation campaign. You don't have to do it just for branding. It's pure lead generation. Then let's look into some examples of where direct transaction or kind of a sale happens. Similarly, like we do lead generation, a lot of e-commerce players use Facebook ads for final conversion, in the sense that they run Facebook ads. When people click on that, it goes to an online store and people complete their conversion. And Google has Google Analytics, which has something called e-commerce tracking module, which can track the source of any transaction. So if a product is bought, Google Analytics can track where the visitor came from. So if you are an e-commerce company and you have the e-commerce tracking enabled, you can track exactly how much of revenue came from a particular source, and you can run a Facebook ads to be able to measure till how much of revenue you got out of that. So it could be a pure, sales or transaction oriented campaign. Similarly, Facebook post, like if you see in Fidim or e-commerce players, anyone who has something which can be sold online, you can do the same doing just the wall post. Especially if you are in the business of e-commerce or a deals, because every post of yours can be an advertisement. Like eBay has something called daily deals. So their everyday post is a deal. When people click on the link from the Facebook wall as a post to the page, they are able to track how much of that. So there you would be able to measure the ROI of your community. So, fortunately for those businesses, it's easier to measure because you know how much time you spend, how much money you spend to acquire the fans, how much money you are spending to engage with them, and you know how much revenue. Leave apart, so the branding and recall is another, and the lifetime value is even more, but you'll be able to have a quantifiable assessment of how much of revenue you are able to generate with this community, which is 100,000 fans, and it may reach to 1 million, and then you know this month how much of revenue came through your wall post. This is an interesting example called tweet to order. Anyone of you know about this? So this is a company called Fassos, which was largely in Pune, now in Mumbai as well, which sells something called kari kebab or hot rolls. Now, a friend of mine had implemented the system for them, which is like, say when you call Domino's, Domino's typically have your phone number registered, and based on that, they know your name as well as your address. Similarly, when you are a customer to Fassos, along with your Twitter ID, which is unique, they have your phone number and address. And then what you have to do is, you will say @Fassos, which is their Twitter ID, and write 4 kebabs. That's it. Because from your unique Twitter ID, they know your address, they know your phone number. If you want to deliver the product at some other place, you will probably put a keyword they have defined, and because that keyword they will be able to see, they will realize that you want this to be delivered at some other place, they will give you a call and then deliver it. Now what's the value of this system? One is people who are on Twitter, and I'm sure many of you are active on Twitter, making a phone calls is significantly more inconvenient than doing a tweet. Second, it's a cool, it's trendy, like no one else is doing. And most important, when you are tweeting, it's like you are buying a product from a company and you are letting all friends of yours that I have bought this product, because your followers get to see your tweets. So that way, if you see, there can't be a better brand endorsement, especially from the customers directly. And even for them, it's even better way to manage their CRM. They can have 20 tweets coming at the same time, but if they have to have a phone, they will need to have parallel phone lines. They will have a documented order being placed. If someone is tweeting, there's a documented order. They can process it. There is a very less chance of human error in that. So it's a great way to leverage platforms like Twitter to get sales happen from the existing customers. Then there are enough examples of end-to-end shopping happening on Facebook. Though I think there are a lot of discussions about is it effective or not, but the fact of the matter is that's possible. Like JCPenney in US was one of the first companies to have the end-to-end payment gateway integrated on Facebook. This is Carlton London, which has again end-to-end shopping on Facebook. So there are easier ways to just integrate, and that's possible. So you can have final shopping happen on Facebook. Or what you can do is, like Cafe Coffee Day, what they do is, the goodies and the merchandise which they sell at their retail outlets, they have a online shop on their Facebook page. They have over 1 million fans. Till this phase where you get to see the product, the price, when you click on buy, it takes you to their site. But till you choose what you want to buy, that happens on Facebook. So that's a great way to have your fans be converted to your customers. And you can do full payment gateway integration, but if that is a lot of work, at this point you can do it. Finally, example of the small restaurant called Gunpowder Restaurant. I'm sure, especially if you're from Delhi and South Delhi, you would know this is a restaurant based out of Hoskas village. which sells South Indian food and very interesting, very delicious food. And I remember, so I written for them in Wall Street Journal in one of my articles sharing their case study. And after that, I thought, let me visit. I went to the restaurant, and first I was surprised that it is not at a very good location. You have to walk four floors, walk up the stairs. I reached there at 7 p.m. 7:30 it was about to open, and a significant number of tables were already reserved. And then I saw that they have a dedicated person who takes booking from Facebook. And they don't have a large community. They just, I think, have 3,500, 4,000 fans. So they are able to influence, or they here, actually they are like, if you see this message, says, hi, we are NCRC group, want a booking for Saturday for 15 people. Is this possible? So, here if you see the pure direct sale happening, and they do that booking, they have a dedicated person for that, right? So I think as examples, those are the case studies I wanted to share. What I will do is, as I shared, this is a link to this presentation. So you can note it down. All of the content will be there. I'm sure you will also have the recorded version of this webinar, but for your reference, you can have this presentation be available to you. In case some of you are interested in going through extensive hands-on workshop on social media, that's a primary business we are in. So we do our workshop in Delhi and Mumbai almost alternate month or every month, and this is our 95th, 96th workshop in Delhi and Mumbai. We would be love to have you be part of that. I also want to, some of you are students I saw, and some of you had shown interest in building a career in social media. Some time back, we had launched an internship program, which is an all-India. Now we've launched an all-India level online social media internship program. If you are interested in building a career in social media, it could be a great place. So you can apply online. So this is a link for that. And I'm on social media, of course, especially across Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I would be glad to support you, beyond this webinar as well. Feel free to connect with me, and I would be happy to share and support you in any way from our own experience or from our own knowledge, right? So with this, I think we have good enough time for interacting through Q&A, because I believe that's the most important element. And I do believe that you found this session so far interesting enough to be able to use that and put that into real action. Okay, so let me take down the questions and I will answer them one by one. So how social media, Aruna had asked this first question, how social media, and while I am answering that, you can post down your questions and I would be glad to answer those. So Aruna had asked this question, how social media work for SEO? See, Aruna, social media and SEO play an integral role today. There's a whole phenomena of social search. And so I'll share some of the ways social media helps SEO. One is, one of the influencers or one of the parameters which decides your ranking for SEO is the quality of the links you get from other sites. And sometime back, Google, Yahoo, and Bing, all of them had confirmed that they give weightage to the links shared on social media, including Facebook, Twitter. So and it's less of a function of number of links, like from any website. It's more a function of relevance of those links and the influence of those profiles from where the links are shared. So the links impact your ranking, that is one part, because Google takes, or search engines take, those social signals as a measure for rankings. Second is, if you are on social media, given social media has latest content coming from users, social media profiles and websites get higher ranking on search engines. Like on our community, not just core, we have seen that the user profiles we have created for people who register, when they search for their name, our community, not just core, and their profile name comes among the top, like you would have noticed for yourself for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And similarly, other presence on, it could be a page, it could be other way you're present. So SEO, social media sites get precedence in rankings on search engines. So that's another way social media helps you improve SEO or get organic traffic. I wouldn't say SEO directly here, but you get more window of opportunity. Third is the integration. Like as I shared, it helps you improve the conversions of your SEO traffic if you can integrate the way I shared, like Twitter, to that. So those, and of course you get organic traffic directly from social media, which is not SEO but organic, right? So that's there are different ways that social media helps. I hope that's useful. Okay, let me go. This is Monu Royal, SMO specialist, and I want to know the best strategies to create fan base for our brand. Okay, so Monu, I think that's a question everyone has in terms of how to get followers on Twitter or how to get fans on Facebook. And I think at a very fundamental level, one of the ways is create interesting and relevant conversation so that your existing fans participate and they bring next set of fans. But frankly speaking, practically speaking, you don't get too much of organic growth because of the content you create, because of the existing communities. We've looked into various numbers of large communities. Typically, it's a very small percentage of organic growth which happens, even if you have interesting content. But that is definitely one of the ways. Otherwise, what you need to do is you need to wear the hat and see which all places are you reaching out to your potential fans. Like, do they come to your website? So you can integrate various widgets of Facebook. Are you reaching out to them through emails? You may do a separate email marketing campaign, or the signature of your email can carry the links. Are they coming to you to see your presentation or your photograph on Flickr or your video on YouTube? That's another area where you can encourage them to become fan. Are you doing any other marketing, like you have seen print, you have seen even radio, even TV? I think though that has a very small conversion, but that's an opportunity. Your product packaging, your brochures, so your visiting card. The point is you need to think which all channels are you reaching out to your potential fans, and can you create an interesting and relevant way to encourage them to become part of your community. Having said that, because of the changes which Facebook has made, like earlier Facebook, any of the Facebook fans could invite their friends. That feature is no more with fans. It is now limited to administrators. So because of those changes, you like it or not, I would say a large number of brands, or I would say majority of the brands who have grown big have used Facebook advertising. And I would say it's still cost effective, and one of the advantages is you can target. You can target based on location, age, gender, college, company profile. You can target people on their birthdays, city-wise, company they are working, so even competition. You want to target, say, fans of Flipkart community, you can target that as well. So Facebook advertising has been largely the primary source of fan acquisition, and it's still cost effective and it works. So I think those are the different ways, and I hope you got some idea. And lastly, Facebook application is one thing, which if you do well, can help you significantly increase fan base. And one of the guidelines for pitfalls which people do is they spend time and thinking and money in creating a Facebook app. But if you don't have a large community to begin with, make sure that you have budget to promote that application itself. Otherwise, application alone will not do the job. So typically, if you spend X amount of money on Facebook application, say you spend a lakh of rupees, have two to three times of that as a budget to promote that application to get real value out of that. Or if you have a large community already, that can help you engage better and use the same community to reach out to more fans. Shreya, great, got the message that content is the key to retain fans consumer. With various SMS social networking platforms coming up like G+, YouTube, FB, Twitter, and varied nature of industry knowledge tips, how would create one reference ROI model, one standard metrics which is a benchmark to refer to? Okay, great. So thanks, Shreya, for asking this question. Unfortunately, unlike other forms of digital marketing, like SEO, SEM, which are fundamentally work on the funnel approach. You will have impressions, you will have clicks, you will have visitors, you will have conversions. Social media, given it's distributed across multiple platforms, you don't have a single formula. So that's given. Now, how to build a matrix? And I think that's not a rocket science. The best way is, of course, start with objectives. And if you don't have the objectives, then what you will measure on Facebook, you will only measure fans. But if you have objective, then you will have various metrics associated with that. So what you need to do is look at the objectives. Then, and you may have different objectives for different platforms. You may be using Facebook for marketing and you may be using Twitter for CRM. So based on the objective, based on the platform, you need to measure or define the metrics. And typically, I would say, unless you're a large brand when you have hundreds of thousands of conversations every day, measuring 4 or 5 key metrics per platform linked to your objective just once a week in Google Doc is great enough. For example, if you're using Facebook for lead generation, even from a community, measure, the traffic, like Google Analytics gives you all that data. Of course, measure the number of fans if you're building a community. Look at the number like talking about this. Similarly, on Twitter, look into the followers, look into the list you are part of, look at the cloud score. So what you will see is essentially if you are measuring once every week linking to your objective, you will see some quantifiable number and trends is what you will see, which is what you want. If you're an e-commerce company, you have end-to-end tracking. But if you're not, even then you have enough to be able to find out what's working such that you can do more of that. So can you suggest good Facebook applications like Not Social? Okay, Samir, great question again. So one is you can build your own custom applications, which can work well, like HTAC I shared. Similarly, Kurkure has an interesting application. However, it's not possible and they are typically expensive. And you may not want to build a customized application. You are doing a contest, you are doing an activity which is standard activity. So in that case, it makes sense to use third-party applications. So I'll share with you some of the examples of the places where you can get those. Like one is called Wildfire. Another is Involver. Another is Not Social. And last week I got to know there is a company which is doing very well and it's from India called Social Apps HQ. So these are 4 companies I know which offer, a lot of them offer very interesting applications as free, but otherwise some pay-per-use licensing model. So it's Not Social, Wildfire, Involver, and Social Apps HQ. And there is another company I got to know recently which creates, little complex applications, but more like productizing it. This is called likemyworld.com. So again, they are based out of Bangalore. They are doing fantastic work for some of the categories like retail, travel, so fashion. So they have again kind of a productized applications. So that's called Like My World. So these are some of the places I know you can check out. Now, what is the best idea for business social media campaign? Is it generate more leads for business? So I think, say, it depends upon what your objective is. Like people use LinkedIn, we use, one for lead generation. We use Facebook for brand building, staying connected with the customers, and when we do a Facebook ads campaign, that's a lead generation, and it's both B2C and B2B. So I think you can use it depending upon who your target audience is. You choose a platform and it's applicable. If you're looking at B2B, one site I would recommend is called Social Media B2B, and here too is numeric. Socialmediab2b.com has interesting case studies, including Facebook for B2B, but largely in the global context. But you can, take a lot of insights from them. Iram has a question. I'm digital marketing strategies for a market research company. The biggest challenge I face is how to convince management that social media helps and how can we monitor results, as in what we are getting out of it. So Iram, I think what we have seen, especially from our own experience in our workshops, is what largely works is examples and case studies. You may have a case study of a competitor or a similar company in the same industry, or maybe even global company. The more closer you are, the more easy it is to relate for your management to see, social media works. So I think, say, metrics is after you have decided. If someone else has already created the metrics, those are useful. But overall, a similar company has used social media to fulfill a similar objective is the best way. If that also doesn't work, send them to our workshop. I'll make sure that it works. Just kidding. But yeah. So typically when people get to know from other people, including other examples, and they taste an experience of it. Typically that's another thing which happens. Sometimes you get an experience, you saw a Facebook post working or a tweet which got some value. Then it becomes more easier for you to convince them or them to convince themselves. And that's what we have seen, which happens. Like largely case studies or hands-on experience is the key benefits people get as they share after participating in our workshops. Can you share some third-party tool to track the social media metrics? Yeah, sure, Rocker. Say there are tools like Radian 6, which is one of the best. It was acquired by Salesforce some time back. It typically has a minimum pricing of $500 a month. Then there is a tool called Altarian. They have an Indian presence as well. They are more cost effective but similar quality tool, but Radian 6 is still, I would say, the leader. Then you have tools like, say, called Sprout Social. So that's, I think, works on a $9, $10 per month model based on the number of users and that. So these are 3 tools, and if you search for commercial social media tools, like especially if you go to mashable.com, I think tools comes very fast. You would have even more examples. How should small business slowly and gradually add value through social media? Shikhar. So I think, Shikhar, what is important is to start from an objective. Like, why are you doing a social media initiative? For example, you may do a pure lead generation campaign if your target audience is on Facebook. So that could be small, and you have direct measure, and you can pause anytime and resume anytime. So, but the most important point is, what are your objectives? So based on that, define a pilot. Choose one platform. Don't go across all to begin with. And identify a small pilot. Do a good job. Identify only 3, 4, 5 metrics. Do it over a couple of weeks. I think you would have enough clarity and answer to what's the next step. Is this social media sales applicable for only consumer products? Yes, Shripal, no, I would say, and I've shared some of the examples here itself. Social media for business powered by Dell is largely a B2B. We have done a lot of B2B lead generation for us using social media. Another example I would share is a company called eValueServe. You would know that they are a KPO, or knowledge process outsourcing firm. Actually, KPO was coined by them, and they use B2B LinkedIn for a huge amount of lead generation. If I guess, I think it would be a couple of $1 million they generate, and one person generates kind of that level of revenue purely through LinkedIn. Similarly, people have used Twitter to do B2B lead generation. If you do search on Twitter, typically people ask for, when they are in search for vendors, and you have no idea product and service you offer, there are already people who are asking for it. Similarly on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn Answers. There may be sales opportunities readily available, right? Please suggest free or economical third-party tool if you want to track 7, 8 brands. So one is Rocker. Again, you need to tell where do you want to track. For example, TweetDeck is a great tool if you want to track, on Twitter. So TweetDeck helps you manage not just Twitter, even Facebook LinkedIn on the same place, right? So similarly, many of these tools have multiple accounts possibility, but otherwise, depending on which platform you want to measure, there are largely free tools available. Okay. Shantanu, you have a question. What should be considered important while bidding for your Facebook ads? Okay, so interesting question and relevant, I'm sure, Facebook ads when it comes to, say, Facebook ads work on largely cost per click model. That's what you typically want. So your cost per click can significantly vary based on multiple parameters. I know brands who are paying 50 rupees per fan and another brand paying 5 rupees for the same fan. And the only difference is one knows how to run Facebook ads better. Like, it's a cost per click, and the key metrics, we can spend an hour, we typically do that in in our workshop. But I'll tell you the key metrics to optimize for Facebook ads is your click-through rate. If you can improve your click-through rate, which is largely a function of the image of your ad, you can significantly reduce your cost per click or cost per fan. And a benchmark is, say, 0.1%. So out of every 1,000 impressions, if you get 1 click, that's a great number. And if you're increasing above 0.1%, your cost per click can significantly reduce. You just do this. I can tell you, if you're not following this alone will probably give you at least 50% reduction in your cost. Are all the fans coming out of Facebook ads genuine? Yes. So Shantanu, it depends upon how you are targeting. If your focus is just number of fans, the best approach is to target any age. You say any to any. But if your fans are 25 plus only, or that's what you want, then you need to target. Then you need to target based on gender. You need to target based on geography. Like Indonesia is a great country to get cheap fans, but if that is not your target audience, you don't want to run fans targeting Indonesia, right? So fans can be completely genuine. That's what you want, and of course, ad copy also becomes important. Don't put an ad copy which is driving them to become a fan, but ultimately they are not interested in your brand or product or service. So have a relevant ad copy. Do right targeting. Rest is, assured that rest of your fans will come based on that. Chinmay, could you please give some strategy for a classified Facebook page? So I think again, Chinmay, it depends upon what you want. I believe you would want to get more and more, it could be both. Like I think you look at Just Dial, and similarly look into the classified businesses in US. They would have large presence on Facebook. Look into who do you want to target. Is your primary target the B2B companies or the end user? So one of the ways which works best, so I'm not, into your domain, so it would be difficult for me to give specific examples or inputs, but one of the suggestions I have is you want to find out what's the best strategy, including what's the best content. Spend time looking into the existing communities and the Twitter accounts and see what kind of content is working, what kind of positioning do they have. That will help you significantly improve the chances of your success and reduce the time it will take for you to reach there. Hope it helps. Sasidharan, to start a new SM project, how to initiate with client? Any stats we need to share? How approach should be? Yeah, so again, Sasidharan, as I shared earlier, think from their objectives. So think about what are their objectives. Look at the examples and the case studies. And if you have numbers to support that, nothing like it. Sarvana, Google plans to penalize sites that overuse SEO. Is it true? How soon we update SEO methods to avoid penalize? Okay, so it becomes an SEO question. Say anyone who's trying to do anything in excessive, including Facebook, you get penalized. But so the whole point is, as long as your focus is on serving your users, then serving the search engine, you are good. So in SEO, like one of the things you should do is like content is the most important part. Don't have a duplicated content. Keep the content fresh. Get relevant links from relevant sites. I think if you're doing this ongoingly well, rest of the things will be taken care. Google Plus or FB, great. Which better for social media platform or business website, Dhaval? Yeah, that's a great debate right now. I think it's still a time before we can conclude for Google Plus in any way. So far, it hasn't reached to any significant stage, though it has reached around 100 million users. But my belief is, given Google has access to a significant people across their multiple platforms, like Google AdWords to YouTube to Google Places, and Gmail, of course, the game they are playing is the game of integration. They've integrated search, they will integrate the rest of the platforms. So I think right now the time is to be on the platform like Google Plus, understand it, learn it, don't put too much of your effort into that, but as soon as it picks up, you can use early mover advantage. Like that's what Facebook offered when it started. What's recommended budget for promoting a cultural event reaching global audience in social media? So again, it depends upon your objectives. Is this lead generation for that? What will happen is you need to think about the target geography. Like in US, typically the cost per click could be 20, 30, 40, 50 cents depending upon target. The same could be 5 cents, 10 cents in India. Then what is your cost of the event? What is the profit? So do that metrics and run a budget, do a pilot, and you will have an idea. Can you point out few strategies which your organization implemented at success few years back, which is no longer effective nowadays? Any example will be really useful. Okay, interesting. Let me think. So I would say, especially like SEO and SEM have become much more competitive. 3 years back, SEM used to have a very high ROI. The cost per click, which at times used to be 2 rupees, 3 rupees, has increased to 7, 8, up to 10 rupees. So the ROI of SEM has significantly reduced over the last 3 years. Similarly, Facebook, it has reduced a bit, but it's, I think, still a long way where you reach to a saturation and you say now it is diminishing ROI. And otherwise, I think the shortcuts which exist for the initial phases of any platform, they typically go away. Like Twitter had a lot of shortcuts over a period of time. The restrictions it has put on have increased. So I think that's typically you would see the cost and the easy ways, which over years as a platform matures go away. Rajiv, for content brand is equal to for news entertainment company, why should they use Facebook? For branding, for page views, what is important branding or page views? I think it depends, and I would say media companies are or news or entertainment media companies are one of the largest categories. Like you look at Star TV, right? They have their channels, and I think they are doing very well in terms of creating buzz for a show. Like Life OK, for example, if you see Survivor India, they use Twitter, they use Facebook. While it was about to be launched, on the same evening they did a contest. So I think not just I would say branding or page views, but the views on the real show when it is an entertainment company is happening, as long as you can integrate. And I think the idea is to look into the integrator rather than this or that, especially when they are connected objectives. One of the best ideas you can recommend to promote the service industry make the. So I think say if you target, depends upon again who's your target audience. Typically if it is an IT or related or otherwise also, LinkedIn can be a great platform. So can you use LinkedIn to do lead generation? What is a good frequency of postings on Facebook and Twitter? Great. So thanks Amrish for asking this question. I would say unless you are a media or a news company, you do 1 or 2 posts a day on Facebook. That's it. And if you're doing 1 post, you do at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 9 to 11, that's the best time. Second is 3 to 5, and then is 9 to 11 is the third window. Similarly, on Twitter, I wouldn't say there is any kind of a benchmark, but stay active. If it depends upon how your brand is. Is it pure quality, then you would not do even probably more than 2 tweets a day. But if you're other brand, you may be doing even 5, 10 tweets a day. But again, I wouldn't say that those numbers on Twitter are so important as they are on Facebook. We are a startup. What is the best way to start a social media presence? Arena, again, I would say define your objectives. Look into your target audience. Based on that, choose a platform. And then on the platform, define what you want to do. Do that 3-step work before that. How to increase the number of impressions of the Facebook ad apart from a great image? Impressions. See, impressions is again, other than the image, you have that. If you're running an ad for an external page, you can change the title as well as the description. Having a call to action in a description is a great way to improve the click-through rate, which will increase the performance and which will actually give you more impressions at lower cost. So the title, description, and image are the 3 which are part of the ad copy. Other than that, you have the targeting. Are you targeting the right people? So targeting plays another role. In general, what is cheaper, CPC on Facebook ad or CPC on Google ad? Great question. So I'll share the pros and cons of Google ad or Facebook ad. So the advantage of Google ad is you are showing an ad when people are searching for it. That's why even the average click-through rate of a Google ad is around 10 times higher. The benchmark, when it is 0.1% on Facebook, it's 1% on Google ads, because you're showing an ad when people are searching for it. However, the advantage of Facebook is when you are on Facebook, Facebook knows who you are. So whether you are a male or a female, what's your age, which location, what are your interest areas based on the profile, based on the pages you like, what's your birth date. So which company you are working at, which college you have studied. So all those targeting is what makes Facebook ads interesting. We have seen and learned from a lot of our own experience, like we run Facebook ad as well as Google ads. And at times both have performed differently. A lot of the participants for workshops have shared back that initially they were doing only Google ads. After the workshop, they started Facebook ads. They got the, one of them said that they got the similar cost, but the conversions were higher on Facebook. So they moved a significant amount of their budget from Google AdWords to Facebook ads. Hope, Ambrish, that helps. If you're targeting enterprise class customers, which would be a cost-effective approach for a startup, which I would say again for B2B, if lead generation is your objective, LinkedIn can play a better role. As shown in your example, digitally there are ads on Facebook. What's your daily budget for it, and how much better from AdWords, Docker? So, Docker, it varies, depends upon what we are targeting. It depends upon the days. For example, towards right now we are not running the ad for the next workshop, which is in May. So we don't spend too much. I would say typically it's maybe I think $10 or even less per day, and we get a cost per click of around 12 cents. And the cost per click on Google is similar, but so far I think Google AdWords has little higher conversion, but we have seen both of them working for people to register into our workshop. So that's why we continue to do the both. Can Facebook contest be an option to ads? See again, Shantanu, running a contest is just one part, but how do you promote the contest? So if you have a large community, I think then contest can be very useful. But if you have a community which is not large, so how will the contest promote your brand? You need to promote a contest. So that's important, and that's what you need to do. Or if you have a large prize, really amazing prize, can you give a car? I think then that contest itself will take care of driving it. And also how you use the application to do a contest. There can be a lot of viral elements built into an application, like inviting friends. So those are the interesting ways to look into how contest can be effective. Right? So I think that was a good amount of questions, and they are still going on.
A couple of more questions.
2-3 minutes. I'll try to answer. Yeah.
Couple of other questions already
okay.
also shared with you.
Yeah, I can see. This is Omkar Joshi. I'm an entrepreneur. I wish to know what can be right crew team size for me to manage any social media presence. I wish to use it as a core channel among others for generating leads as well as branding exercises. Again, Omkar, I would say again, you've shared the objectives. Now it depends upon what platforms are you using. For example, are you using LinkedIn as well as Facebook, as well as Twitter, as well as SlideShare, as well as YouTube? So depending upon which channels you are using, one of the things which becomes important is your effort to create relevant content. Like videos itself, creating the production of videos itself can be very effort intensive. Then is the response. So, but otherwise, I would say to do a reasonably good job, it does not require a large team, especially once you've figured out, the way to create content, what content works. And one of my suggestions is follow content calendar. Like what Facebook post you are going to do next week, at least for a week, should be written in advance. When you do that, you will significantly reduce the time it will take for you to create that content. And you will significantly increase the effectiveness of that content, because when you're doing at one go, you are not required to break the inertia of getting into that mode, and you will have a full view, big picture. You will be able to measure better as well. So it will reduce your time significantly, increase your effectiveness significantly. So that's one suggestion I have. Similarly for Twitter, similarly for any platform, do content calendar or do content planning in advance. I know some of the brands who are doing good. Typically for months they have written the content in advance. Hope this is useful, Omkar. Worldwide, is there any decline in fan page new likes after switching to timeline? Because I'm facing it in my fan page. So honestly, Chinmay, I have no idea. I think every new feature of Facebook initially sees resistance, but over a period of time, many of them people have accepted. I think the new timeline feature, there are disadvantages as well, and some very good advantages, like the whole picture, the top picture is the great visibility angle you see. Even the applications, though they are the number of tabs are limited to or on the top limited to 3, but the visibility of that has come on the top, which I believe is a probably has a better conversion. I think if you search, probably someone would have done study or someone would do it, but honestly, I don't know. This is Wasim. What according to you, what according to you is the next generation social media networking? I think that's not $1 million, but multi-billion-dollar question. One way is what we are doing is trying to do that at our cricket or a sports community, not just core. I think the trend is, one of the trends is vertical social networks are happening. Like Pinterest, for example. Pinterest is a social network around photographs. Though it looks like an overnight success, I don't know how many of you know, it was started 4 years back. But interest-based or even geography-based, I would say less of geography, but interest-based social networks is one of the trends which is happening. I would say second is leveraging technology is going to be an integral part, and which is including integration of various devices. So like, more of a mobile platforms like Instagram, for example, that's now it is in Android as well. It was a pure iPhone application which got 10 million downloads in, I think, couple of weeks. So mobile is another trend, and interest-based networks is another. Hope that helps. Right, so I think we had plenty of questions, and you can, again connect with me. So I'm definitely active on social media, and I would be more than happy to support you, in any other way. You can reach out to me on Twitter is the best way. My Twitter handle is Pradeep Chopra. Similarly, that's the same for everywhere else. Thanks a ton. I hope this time was useful. It was useful for me as well. It's been a lot of learning experience, and that's one of the reasons I, always love leading sections or webinars like this. Thanks again to TechGig for having me here. Let's stay in touch, and more important, put some of these learning into action. And I would love to hear from you when you create success out of that. Have a great day. Thank you. And you will get the link. Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Pradeep, for your informative session on customer acquisition through social media. It was indeed an enlightening session. I would also like to thank my audience for making this webinar a huge success. Gentlemen, the next session in the TechGig webinar series is happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. Topic for the webinar is Software Configuration and Release Management, an emerging career in IT. We will be having Mr. Shashikant Vallam, practice leader at IBM, as a guest speaker. So see you all tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thank you.